Hello friends, Tammy Anderson here with Tammy Anderson Functional Health, and I just wanted to share with you today something that I've been using regularly in my health routine for a few months now that is just too much pure magic not to share. So what I'm going to be sharing with you is actually called Soleil, and Soleil is water that has been completely saturated with salt, Himalayan salt to be specific. So this is what it looks like. It's actually a little cloudier today, right now, than it typically is, and that's because I shook the jar when I started filming this video. So I was actually introduced to Soleil back in 2008 by my naturopathic doctor when I went to her with a slew of health issues, and at the time I was marathon training and just really asking a lot of my body and tearing it down and not building it back up. I had a lot of issues with energy, not being able to recover from my workouts, lots of injuries, and in addition to lots of other health symptoms. So she presented me with these little vials of what she said were salt water that was loaded with minerals, and assured me that by using these little vials of salt water, which by the way were ridiculously expensive, that it would help with energy and rehydration during my training runs, and it would help me recover from my runs more quickly. Now at the time, I thought she was full of shit, and I just thought, how is it possible that I'm gonna recover more quickly from my runs and have more energy by drinking salt water, which is gonna make me more thirsty at a time when I'm already thirsty. So I was super skeptical. I thought she was crazy, but desperate times call for desperate measures, and I was desperate at the time. So I was willing to try whatever she told me to try and pay a ridiculously large sum of money for these little magic vials. So I tried it during my next 20-mile training run. About 16 miles in, I swigged down this little bottle of magic, and it was just that. It was pure magic. At the time during my run that I took it, I was exhausted, fatigued, felt like I couldn't run another step, and within 30 seconds to a minute, I felt like I had as much energy as I had 16 miles prior when I had run out my driveway. So it was absolutely magic. It was like putting brand new batteries in a flashlight that was almost dead. So since that time, I've actually used salt in every endurance training event that I've done. I have done multiple marathons and even events like Spartan Beast races, where I have at later points in the event consumed salt, and specifically Himalayan salt, and it is like magic every single time. So I've been a long time advocate of Himalayan salt because of the trace minerals that it contains, and it is a health promoting element. So anyway, the use of this little magical elixir, though, the liquid, the fully saturated water with salt, had been off of my radar until really recently, when I had mold poisoning on my cruise vacation, and I was suffering from some unusual fatigue and just really low energy, having a hard time getting myself going in the morning, and some sleep issues. So I started doing some research, and I came across information about Sol, which was the same magical elixir that my ND sold me way back in 2008 at a ridiculously high price. So like I said, it is water that is completely saturated with unprocessed Himalayan salt. It's super cheap to make, and the recommended dose of it is using 1 teaspoon in a glass of water. I typically use a half tablespoon to a full tablespoon in a glass of water in the morning when I take my supplements. But that is also because I sit in a sauna every single day and sweat a lot, and also sometimes go to heated yoga. So I'm sweating a lot. So when you sweat, you're releasing a lot of salt, you're losing a lot of salt. So to replace that, I'm using a little bit more than the typical recommended dose. 1 teaspoon of Soleil is 478 milligrams of sodium versus 2,300 milligrams of sodium in a teaspoon of table salt. So making a glass of water with a teaspoon of table salt is not the same thing as water that has been saturated with Himalayan salt. 2,300 milligrams of sodium is the top limit that the Heart Association and the American Heart Association recommends for your daily allowance. So putting 1 teaspoon in a glass of water is totally reaching your daily limit in a really unhealthy way, because you're not getting the trace minerals that are present in Himalayan salt, and you're not getting, you're totally overdoing it on the sodium. So Himalayan salt has elements in it that support health, and processed table salt, which I have excluded from my diet for years, really just has no benefit, because all of the minerals have been stripped out of it, and it really equals a health detriment. So not the same thing to just put a teaspoon of salt into a glass of water, stir it around and drink it down. Totally a different thing. So in researching Soleil, I learned that this magical elixir has several different health benefits that were just too good not to share with you. The first is that it supports thyroid function. Your thyroid needs several different minerals in order to be able to function properly, and also to be able to produce adequate amounts of thyroid hormone. So if your thyroid is not functioning properly, is sluggish, you may want to consider adding Soleil into your health routine. It also supports adrenal function, and just like with the thyroid gland, minerals play an essential role in healthy adrenal function, as well as the body's stress response. So if your adrenals are having a hard time, you're fatigued, low energy, Soleil may be beneficial for you. It also helps to rehydrate the body after the repair and detoxification that happens overnight while you're sleeping. Improved energy is another benefit because of the minerals and the ionic energy in the solution that helps support the adrenal glands. This was a miracle for me during my endurance training days, and also more recently during my mold illness. It also helps to detoxify the body by supporting the body's natural detoxification processes, and also by helping to flush out bad bacteria from the body. It improves the body's mineral status, obviously. Most people today are mineral deficient because our food sources of today are devoid of minerals because of our modern farming practices. Hormone balance is another benefit because minerals are essential for producing hormones. So when we are mineral deficient, we can't produce the hormones that we need, and our hormones get out of balance. So adding Soleil to your daily regimen might be an important piece of the puzzle in balancing your hormones. Soleil is also a natural antihistamine, so if you've got allergies, you might want to consider using Soleil to see if it might help with those itchy eyes, the runny nose, the itchy throat, and all the sneezing. It also helps to balance out blood pressure. And I know that this is contrary to what might make sense, because we have been trained to believe that salt is the enemy. But it's likely due to the improved mineral status of the body, because remember, when you're using Himalayan sea salt as opposed to processed table salt, you're getting all the minerals that are not present in our oversalted processed foods. It also improves blood sugar regulation in some people, and I would guess that this is likely due to the improved mineral status by improving the body's hormone balance. Improved sleep is another benefit that some people see from using Soleil, again, likely due to the improved mineral status and hormone balance. Our bodies actually need salt. There is salt in every cell in our body. And consuming a low sodium diet has been shown in research to be a contributing factor to sleep dysfunction. So if you are struggling with sleep disturbance, you might want to consider adding Soleil. It also improves digestion by stimulating the digestive system and supporting the absorption of nutrients from your food that you're eating. It improves your skin, your hair, and your nails because minerals, you know, those things are all made of minerals, and improved hydration as well. And the last benefit is that it reduces muscle cramps and helps the body recover from intense workouts because the body's mineral status and hydration are improved. So speaking from my own experience here, Soleil is a miracle elixir when it comes to muscle recovery. I have participated in multiple really intense endurance events, including marathons and even Spartan Beast races, and had very minimal soreness following the events. And it almost seemed like my recovery was too easy in comparison to my fellow athletes who were recovering from the same events. So making your own Himalayan Soleil is super easy and far less expensive than those expensive vials that I got from my ND all those years ago. You really only need 4 things. You need a quart jar or a glass jar. I use a quart jar with a wide mouth, and you need a plastic lid. Please, please, please do not use a metal lid because the salt water will react with the metal in the lid, causing the metal to oxidize or rust, and that will leak down into your fluid and contaminate your fluid. So you definitely do not want to use a metal lid. And you need the Himalayan sea salt. You want to make sure that you're using the crystal version, not the fine ground. And you need fresh filtered water. You want to make sure that you're using clean filtered water, not city tap water, which has chlorine and fluoride and other chemicals in it. So you want to make sure that your water is filtered so that your solution is as pure as possible. So with those ingredients, super easy to make. You're just going to fill your quart jar about 1/4 to 1/3 full with the salt crystals. And you can just kind of eyeball it. You don't have to measure it. So you just put your crystals in the jar, and then you add your filtered water to that, leaving just a small amount of space at the top. So just filling up your jar like this. Put the lid on, and I usually give it a good shake. Give the jar a good shake, and then you just let it sit on the counter overnight. And in the morning, your Soleil salt should be ready. If in the morning your salt is completely dissolved, you're going to want to add some more salt to it and let it sit for a while longer until it reaches a point where there's still salt in the bottom. So this is a jar that I have sitting on my counter, and you can see that there's still some salt in the bottom, which indicates that the liquid that's in there is completely saturated with the salt. And that's all there is to it. So you can scoop, you're using a plastic spoon, scoop your teaspoon out and add it to your room temperature tap water in the morning, and drink that while you're taking your other supplements. And super easy. And all I do is I occasionally add, as my level gets lower in my jar, I just add more salt, more water, and then it just goes on forever. And since salt is antibacterial, you don't have to worry about mold or anything else growing in it. All right, my friends, I hope this video was helpful for you. And I hope that if you give Soleil a try, that you will have as good of benefits as I have seen for myself. Until next time.